Is it working? It's working! Oh boy. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time you're watching this. Thank you for joining us eventually for our very late SilviaFindings live stream. I'll try to be brief today. Apologies for the technical difficulties. I had to use a phone that I don't normally use for this. In fact, Facebook wasn't even installed on the phone because it was my phone, and I don't like having that installed on my phone. But anyway, neither here nor there. We're here, we're thing. Yeah, thanks for joining us. Sorry, apologies. I'm just a little bit scattered because I've been trying for the past 30 minutes to figure out how to get this thing working. But now that we're here and we're on, I'm pleased. Hopefully, this is posting to the correct account, and yeah, and all of my SilviaFindings peeps will be seeing this, and not my own personal friends who my Facebook friends who we got a little background. I joined Facebook when it was brand new, before anybody knew really what it was. So gosh, a long time ago. It feels like 20 years ago, but it wasn't that long, obviously. More than 10 though, more than 10 years. Anyway, and then eventually I reached a point where I kind of figured, it kind of occurred to me that what is this product that we're using that costs nothing? And then how is it possible that this product costs nothing? And then I realized that we're the product. That our likes, our engagement, our things are all being, not tinfoil hat. This stuff has all been come to bear various things. But anyway, neither here nor there, sort of thing. So I just got off social media, except for Twitter. I still love Twitter. I don't know why. I can't break it. But so I'm not on Facebook is my point, and or I haven't been for 6 or 7 years. So if this is being posted to my personal account, oh no, it's not. Okay. Hi, I'm waving to Ryan Ross, who's watching. What is that? There's something blocking that. New lapidary gem cutter here from Saskatoon. Hey, new lapidary gem cutter. Boy, you're gonna love me or hate me because I talk a lot of smack about gem cutters because just because of the the whole thing. Let me talk to you directly, Ryan. So how, and it seems like this is a problem almost exclusively with colored stones. You never see this with diamonds or moissanites or those kind of things. Oh, self-taught, good. Let me give you a tip, if I may. I know very little. We took me and Nelson here, we took a cab cutting class here at the Richmond Lapidary Club, which I was a little surprised how well, just how impressive their setup was. They've got all these lap wheels and everything, and the big, slab cutters and stuff, and they have a whole metalsmithing studio in there and everything. So it was a pretty impressive place. But anyway, we took a very basic weekend course, cab cutting. So I get it, cab cutting, depending on the stones, obviously, it's something that it's not. Don't get, just wait until I've finished, because you're going to get pissed off just in the beginning of this. So cab cutting is not a difficult thing to do, but it's a difficult thing to do well. Okay, so I found it very, very easy once we got the basics down, sort of thing. But that's not what we're talking about. Cabochons. I have issues with cabochons and how some cab cutters like to keep the edges of the cabs perpendicular. And that's just an issue for, stone setters or prefab settings, because you can't make the prongs longer than they are. But my issue with gem cutters, faceted stones, is, and this is an issue that, again, that I only find with colored stones, because, and my guess is that lapidaries, anyway, gem cutters do this to deepen the color of the stone, because the thicker the gemstone, the darker the color, or increase the weight of the stone if they're selling it by the carats or whatever sort of thing. But it seems like gem cutters love to make these wacky, huge, deep pavilion. I don't know, you probably can't see that, right? Where's my lens there, right? These crazy deep pavilions. And it's a problem. It's probably the biggest problem that I find with our prefabricated settings. And they're cast. They're not really fabricated, but they're the settings that are not custom made are designed for pavilion angles that are about 41 to 43, maybe as much as 45 degrees. Ideally, I mean, they could, if it's a little bit bigger than that, the stone will sit a little bit higher up in the setting, and that's usually okay. But when there's crazy deep, it ends up sitting so high in the seat that there's no room for the prongs to reach the crown and get over onto the stone. So, deeper. You're right. It's not a favorite for jewelers because it's a pain to work around, sort of thing. Yes. Yes. We make it work most of the time, but sometimes it's not going to work. And people, I find that most people who are doing this as a hobby, maybe they're at a gem show and they see some stones. Oh, that's a beautiful stone, and then they find a setting for it, and then it's a 6x9 oval, or a 6x8 oval or whatever. This should work, right? Yeah, 6x8, sure, no problem. They'll order it, they get it, they try to put their stone in it, and then they're upset with us because, hey, my stone doesn't fit in your setting, even though you said it would. Yeah. Anyway, it's a learning curve, but. So Ryan, don't be the deep pavilion guy. I get it though, and I've also said somewhat controversial things like 94% of people don't care what the wacky cuts on the pavilion is. That so you get some crazy, interesting. Color play or angle play on the table. I mean, yeah, it's very cool for people who are other lapidaries or things, but most people think, yes, thank you, try to keep stuff. Canadians are so accommodating generally, I've found, sort of thing. It's so reasonable, just in general, and I can say that because I'm Canadian. So anyway, my little chat today, and it's gonna be quick because again, I had such a hard time getting online, getting this to work. But now that we're here, I just wanted to talk about we used pears in the theme because of that alliteration was just cool, right? Pointy pears, or picking your pointy pears. The problem with pear, and it's the same. I've got a little marquise stone here too. So the same issue with this, and that's not going to be in focus, is it? And this too, right? So pear. The problem with pears is faceted ones. I mean, caps too sometimes. Yeah, something. But the tip, of course, is very well, really pointy. And if it's a more traditional pavilion angle, like we've been talking about. The thickness of the stone at the point is pretty thin. And when you have a prong setting, like this one, that's not gonna focus, right? I pulled this huge one because I thought it would be easy. Let me just turn this around and maybe get this to, where's my button to make it go? You see, there it is. Okay, there. So why isn't that focusing? Okay, my camera phone sucks. I normally use Nelson's, which is great. I don't know what it is, what brand it is. Oh, you know what? It's an iPhone. And here I am, Mr. Android. Oh, he's trash talking the iPhones. But yep, this camera's terrible. Okay. Anyway, I don't know if you can see this single chevron prong here at the top. Oh, there we go. That's a little bit more in focus. These are really traditional for these kind of pear set. And I just grabbed one of the biggest ones that we had just so you can see it. This little chevron prong, normally when you put no, obviously this is not the right point, right? When you put the point inside there, you can get a little ball burr or something to scoop out that little area inside there. And then, if it's small enough, short enough, you can just, push that down a little bit and then that holds that in place. But that, chevron thing is kind of tricky, to bend because it wants to flex in different directions. Metal always takes the path of least resistance, right? So as you're flexing this down, it's going to pinch the top of that point and it can break off pretty easily. So when you're looking for findings, like obviously this is designed for a cabochon, right? Because it's got a flat, thing, although you could probably use it for a faceted stone. The pavilion would almost certainly stick out the back of this particular one and poke you in the chest, but, my guess is that if you're buying a setting that's this big and ornate, yeah, comfort probably is not the biggest problem that you're worrying about. Anyway, you can find settings like this, and they're obviously totally workable, but we've been shifting away from that, and we just made a new line of a second line of pear settings, because we have a line of pear settings like this. These ones are a little bit more slimline, right? But they've all got the double prongs up at the top. I don't know if you can see that. I could put that stone in there so you could see, right? So there's 2 prongs at the top. Maybe, I think this one is a little more visible. You can see it, right? If you can find prongs, and again, this is not, specific to pears. This is also an issue with like marquise stones, right? This shape. And all of our, I don't think we have any marquise settings with those chevron prongs, but all of our marquise settings have those double prongs, right, at either end. That the stone just holds on to. So that was my thing. Generally, you're going to find that settings with the double prongs up at the top instead of those chevron prongs. Again, the chevron is maybe a little more traditional, but if you're not a jeweler, or if you're not, this is kind of like a way more advanced setting to set with, right? So unless you have a little bit of practice with a couple of different setting burrs, again, like, normally for this kind of a thing, you would use a ball burr, to kind of scoop out some of the inside edge until that, golly, this is really bugging me that this is not in focus. Oh, well. I promise next week we'll have a better phone. Right. So double prongs for those things. And, while we're here, let me just show you. We've got a bunch. I can't think. Last week, was it last week? No, last week. Yeah, last week or the week before. I forget. I showed you a bunch of gold settings, and I said we had more cushion cuts coming. Right, and these are the cushion cuts. These are new. This was like a kind of a glaring hole in our inventory that I don't know why, but and cushion cuts are really popular shape. So we got these in a bunch of different sizes, a couple of different styles, everything from, I guess the smallest is like a 5x7. Yeah, we don't have a 4x6. 5x7 all the way up to, how big is this? 12x18? Yeah, 12x18. So, pretty big. This is game changer, for me anyway. When we're at shows and somebody comes with a cushion cut stone, I'm normally trying to, maybe tweak the edges of an oval, to make them a little more squared. But then you always end up with the, the prongs not being really in the corner, or the corner kind of poking out past the edge of the setting, so they don't square up. Whereas these, specifically designed for those shapes, really, really handy stuff. So, oh boy, that's basically it. I don't know. I didn't really have anything else to talk about. Some new, also got a couple new sizes of pears. Some weird 11x17. Look at this thing, because this is the other issue with pears, right? And with pear stones is the ratio. There's no standard ratio, or maybe there is. Maybe Ryan can tell me if there is. Like a length by width, X by Y, or at least there doesn't seem to be. From what I've seen, every time I see cabs or stones, so it's very difficult to get like a range of sizes of these that will fit most, pears, because sometimes you get a pear that's, short and squat, and other times you get them that are, tall and thin. And the ratio of X by Y, length by width, is not the same. There just doesn't seem to be a consistent range of that. Whereas with, ovals, it's all, the average ratios, and I remember I wrote it down once. I don't know, like 1.25, 1 to 1.25 or something like that, 1 to 1.3. 6x8, 7x9, 10x12. I guess that would be 1.2. But anyway, so pears are tricky, but obviously we no matter what we get, there's always somebody who says, yeah, but don't you have something that's this? Oh, here's another one, another new one, an oval. I guess you could use this also as a marquise, but that's meant to be an oval. Marquise are almost always 1 by 1.5, so it's like whatever the width is, the length is double. So like in this one, 6x12, right? It's almost perfect for marquise. Although I have seen ovals that are that, thin. And usually it would be, well, look, I'm sorry, can't help you. Because they just won't work. Little tiny pear, look at that 4x6 pear. That's so cute. Again, the double prongs at the top. Way less chance of the tip of the pear breaking when you have the double prongs at the top. I know some people don't like them. If you're an old-timey jeweler, you definitely probably prefer that look of the chevron prong at the top, because I don't know, it's just, some people think it looks more clean, looks more traditional. I don't know. I mean, they're fine and they're great, but it requires a certain level of skill that and don't take this the wrong way, but I feel like the vast majority of hobbyists who are buying stones online, and then they're buying settings, and they get the settings and they pop the stones in, are just not spending enough time, or are not investing the time in learning the metalsmithing skills that will help you troubleshoot those kind of issues. We see a lot of people write reviews, especially on Etsy, right? And we've got tons of great, obviously, thousands of 5-star reviews. But it's always a little bit shocking to me when I see the pictures of their setting, and and people are always so proud. Oh, it's so beautiful, I'm so happy, and thing. But the prongs are way too long, and they extend halfway up onto the table of the stone, and it's like, well, yes, it's good that you're proud of what you setting that thing, and it's definitely, hey, look, I took this and I bought a stone and I put a stone in it, and now I have a piece of jewelry. I mean, that's an accomplishment. That's pretty awesome. But the more you do it, obviously the more sophisticated you get at it, and the more you worry about those little details. So I don't know. I just wish there were a way to impart those details, before people get started, so that it's a thing. Sorry, I'm just playing right now with these things, and that. Let me turn this around. How do I do this? Come on. There we go. Whoops. Can you tell I'm flustered? Boy, this was not a professional, not a professional live stream this week. Just a little bit flustered by everything. And it's hot. It's hot here. I said, how where you are? I don't know. God, I don't do well in the heat. I start to flag. But as soon as this camera goes off, I'm going to get the AC turned back on because it's loud. But we love it. I think, was it next week? I know we have a show coming up, but I think it's in Ontario, in Bancroft. Bancroft? Somewhere. Bancroft. No, I think it's Bancroft. I forget where it is. It's somewhere in Ontario. We're in British Columbia, obviously. It's in Ontario. So I won't be going to that show personally. Marble and Nelson, I think Janet also will be there. So make sure you come out and see us at that Jamboree. You look it up in the socials. We put that stuff everywhere. If you're watching this video, obviously not live. Very few people actually watch this live. Most people watch this after the fact on YouTube. So if you're watching this after the fact on YouTube and it's still, before July 27th, I just pulled that right off the top of my head, so it's probably wrong. So don't hold me to that. And I really should write these things down before I get on. But we were just so flustered getting everything together this morning, trying to get this off the ground, and we finally did. But just not prepared. My apologies. In the meantime, what was I? Yes, we are doing a live stream there. And I wanted to show you a bunch more of because we got a bunch new gold stuff, and some of it is just so cool. I changed or I should say I urged very strongly that we change the design of the prongs. So, because a traditional round prong with a notch cut out of it, of a prefabricated setting, maybe only half the time the notch is in the right place, right? So you would normally need to carve a notch again, either further up or further down. And it becomes kind of an issue. So we kind of redesigned the prongs a little bit, so they're a little more of a hybrid prong where they can work for a cabochon or for a cut stone. They're a little bit flat on the inside. They're still rounded on the outside, so from the top they would still look very similar, very, very, very similar, but the inside is a little bit more flat, so you can put little bends right where the girdle is and push the stone or the prongs over onto the crown, and they look great. And they're, especially for the gold, because 14 karat gold is a lot harder. It's denser, so it's stiffer, let's say. I don't like to use the word hard because that denotes the temper, which is not how angry the metal is, but how hard or soft it is based on whether it's been annealed or not. But anyway, that's yeah. So it's like a flat inside, and the top. So the top is not like pointy like the cabochon. We have a lot of prongs that are designed for cabochons, right, where the flat is flat on the inside, tapered to a point, and kind of domed, rounded on the outside, so when you push it on, it looks very nice and smooth, sort of thing. And this is kind of like a hybrid version of that, where it's rounded. It's not like if you were to cut it in half, right, cut a prong in half, if you're looking at the cross section of it, it wouldn't be like a semicircle, right? It'd be more like 2/3 of a circle with a flat side, right, on the inside. if that makes sense. Anyway, I'll show you next week when we do the live stream, or if you see us at a show somewhere, you know, come and have a look at them. They're going to be way easier to set with if you're not a pro gem setter, which again, I feel like 90% of our customers, of our retail customers anyway, are not pro gem. They're just hobbyists. They just want to buy a beautiful stone they find at a show, and they want to buy a beautiful setting, and they want to put it together, and they want to be happy that, look at this thing, and you know, and I've seen people say, look, I made this, and you know, they didn't cut the gemstone and they didn't cast the setting, but they put them together and they put them on this. So to them, it's like they made this, and it's so awesome because there's so few things in life these days where you get to actually make something, right? Nobody makes anything anymore, right? When you you know, it used to be that if your fence in your front yard was broken, you'd go to Home Depot, buy a few planks and some nails, and you know, redo your fence. Now it's like 1-800 or you know, www.fixmyfence.com. You know, nobody does anything anymore. Well, the people who do those things, but everything's kind of becoming more and more niche. So I feel like we've come further and further away from the crafting aspect of society, right? There used to be a time when everybody was a crafter of some kind. You know, everybody made something, everybody did something, you know, with their hands or with things or whatever, whether it was, you know, just something at home or something, you know, for their job or whatever. And now we don't, you know, we're post, what do you call, you know, post-industrial, you know, society. We just don't make anything anymore, or I should say most people just don't make anything anymore. So there's something very primal and very what's the word I'm looking for, very satisfying about being able to make your own stuff. Mount Mitchell show in North Carolina. Is that North Carolina? You know what, I can't see that. You know what, no, right now we're only doing shows in Canada, but I'm not going to make any announcements here or anything, but my guess is that that will probably change pretty soon, maybe next year. But again, even if, my guess is that we probably wouldn't be going as far as North Carolina, because that's like almost the other end of the country. You know, we're, you know, based on the West Coast. Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe maybe Tucson, if you get to Tucson. I don't know. Again, I'm not making any announcements. I don't know if we're actually doing Tucson or not, but my guess is that if we were going to be anywhere further away from here, it's a big gem and mineral show. Yeah, there are lots of those. Again, I'm not going to make any announcement. I'm not saying anything about anything, but watch this space. That's all I'm going to say. I mean, that's it. I mean, I've kind of, you know, blathered on for a few minutes on a totally different tangent from what the original concept is going to be. I talked about the pears and how to pick the things, and if you can, you know, avoid getting the chevron prongs things. You know, they're not bad. They're just trickier to use than the double prongs, if you can. So for pears, for marquise, for trillions, you know, triangular cuts, even squares. I've seen some, you know, quite a few squares, princess cuts, radiants, you know, that have really pointy corners, and there are sometimes the prongs for those are in the corners, you know, and the prefab ones that we have that do that, you know, the corner prongs are scooped out already, but it's still, you know, boy, you got to be really careful because there's just very little material there to hold on to, and it's the most fragile thing. And that was my takeaway for the day. So thank you for, if you're still here. I don't know why, what, you know. Yeah. But thank you for watching, Brenda and Ryan, and anybody else if you're watching. And if you're watching later on YouTube, hi. I will see you next week. In the meantime, take care of yourself, take care of the planet, take care of your mental health, and I will see you next week. Thanks a lot. All right. Bye-bye.